Good morning, guys. I hope we're all sparkly. One of the major symptoms of low testosterone is an element of mental discord. Whether that be low mood, anxiety, depersonalization, simply not feeling like yourself, loss of drive, loss of determination, an element of cognitive decline, from a brain fog to actual short-term memory loss. Testosterone has an integral role to play in brain function, and it cannot be overemphasized. Everybody thinks testosterone's about muscles and sex. This couldn't be further from the truth. Obviously, muscles and sex are really important, but my guys literally want a semblance of normality. It is incredibly important. So they present with mental discord and they believe testosterone is going to be the cure. Testosterone is the foundation from whence you need to build upon to make the negative symptoms disappear. You must have the right attitude, because if you wait for testosterone to work, it will not work. We are merely normalizing your male androgen levels for long-term physical and psychological well-being. Sounds boring, doesn't it? But you're designed to fight and you're designed to fornicate. So you want to have normal levels so that all of your parameters are within normal ranges. Let's not go over normal, because obviously there's an absurdity to the normal range now with living in a sick society. But when your testosterone is too high, it can have a negative impact on other physiological parameters. Testosterone is not an antidepressant. It can reverse the low mood that you presented with. It can address the anxiety that you presented with, but it is not a cure. You need to put the hard work in. And again, I cannot overemphasize this enough. Testosterone is the foundation. So, what happens? I've been suffering with some anxiety recently. Now, I have to take on board everything that you tell me and absorb it, come up with a plan, and decide how best I can support you in your journey back to hormonal health. But I would say it actually extends a little bit further than that, because everybody wants this semblance of normality, and simply normalizing your melandrin levels will not do that. You need to have realistic expectations and a guide on your journey. You've come to me because you've needed help, and hopefully I provide that. But when I provide that, it takes a little bit away from me. So I have to have really good coping mechanisms to deal with anxiety, because with so many patients, so many concerns, it literally can be overwhelming. Now, I've got good coping skills and bad coping skills. Good coping skills: exercise. This has been a huge part of my life. So, disappointingly, with lockdown, the gyms have closed. And so my daily routine of going to the gym once or twice a day, normally at 6 o'clock in the morning for my HIIT session, and then some weights in the evening, this has been disrupted. What else? What are the good coping mechanisms have I got? I like to be objective when subjective experience can have either a negative or positive effect on your mental well-being. And I think that is one of the goals of TRT, to apply objectivity to your subjective experience and choose the positive instead of the negative. Now, when your hormones are disrupted, that becomes quite difficult. With low testosterone, you tend to choose negativity despite knowing that you should be choosing positivity. It's quite peculiar. So you've lost that sort of inherent survival drive and the ability to see the wood for the trees. So when you normalize testosterone, hopefully that's reversed. So exercise. Yeah, I don't have many good coping skills. So I haven't... I've got loads of bad ones. What bad ones have I been doing? Alcohol. Alcohol. I've given up alcohol because it was having an ultimate negative effect on my psychological well-being. I was drinking Friday, Saturday, having fun, not getting hammered, but just not feeling amazing until Friday to drink again. And I woke up just going, what the hell are you doing, you weirdo? Well, it's pointless, isn't it? You know, alcohol's a narcotic. So when we start drinking, we're 18, 19 years old. You're not after a narcotic to escape problems. You're out to get blasted and have a good time. But ultimately, when life's responsibilities become so great, you end up using it as a coping mechanism, and that is ultimately destructive. So yeah, packed up the booze and feel 10 times better, but still have some anxiety. Disappointing. My protocol hasn't changed. My protocol's been stable for years, and my levels have always been brilliant. What the hell's going on? So, in my search for answers, I looked into psychology. Alan Watts, massive fan of Zen, and I believe it has got a very important place in psychological well-being. Understanding the need for contrast to establish harmony, much like when we talk about hormones, you must have yin and yang. So then that led me on to looking at Carl Jung. Oh, that was a mistake. The shadow. Now, you should accept your shadow, rationalize it, understand it, and move on. But combining Zen and Jungian philosophy, yeah, that was a mistake. So you can get a little bit lost in the darkness, emptiness, and have a bit of a nihilistic attitude and approach to circumstances that you should not adopt. So yeah, that was a weird one, because it's all very interesting and it's good to self-analyze, self-reflect, but damn, it's pointless. You got to move forwards, you got to keep going. But it gave me the insight into realizing that's what I needed to do, because it was ultimately destructive. So get on with it, crack on. I don't feel like it. So what do? You have to have structure and discipline. We spoke about this in the previous video. Get up at the same time every day. Don't feel like it. Get up. Do some exercise, do some stretching, have a routine. I've started doing Wim Hof breathing in the morning, which has been brilliant. and I will continue that. But still got anxiety. What the fuck is going on? So I did some bloods. Last resort. Levels are always brilliant. Something is going on. Well, without a protocol change, my testosterone level has jumped up by 10 points from 32 to 42, and my free T has jumped up from 0.6 to 0.94. Estrogen 89 to 138, I think. What the hell? My numbers have just skyrocketed. That's the explanation for my unresolved anxiety. Because interestingly, I didn't have my testosterone and HCG that day. Because you should always measure your levels in a trough. I felt great that day. And then I had my dose the next day, and I felt anxious. Bingo! A testosterone of 42, a free T of 0.94, for me, is not comfortable. So I clearly like to be lower. Now, my dose hasn't changed. So what the hell's going on? Because you are administering testosterone exogenously, and you're administering HCG, which produces natural testosterone within the testicles. I haven't been exercising as hard and as heavy as I normally do. So I gave the example a few weeks, months ago about a marathon runner who switched to ultra marathons, and he came in feeling a bit flat. His levels had decreased because his utilization had increased. So conversely, my utilization has decreased. So my levels have increased. That is the reason for my anxiety. However, having explored everything else, it's actually been a positive experience. It wasn't very positive when I was going through it, but now I can see the future. Now I can say, right, I am going to take on board what I learned in those few months of mental discord, of mental unrest, structure, discipline, a new sense of perspective. I knew I was okay when I lay on my back in my garden and watched the pink fluffy clouds go by. I knew something was wrong when I was walking the dogs and I had no enjoyment. It was literally a chore. And I love my dogs. You know I love my dogs. And I can sit and appreciate the wonder of nature for hours. Because nature is incredible. And we distort it constantly. And we need to not distort nature. We need to work with nature. Because, I'll say it, the further we travel away from nature, the worse our physical and psychological well-being. It's 100% true. Now, I'm a massive Pink Floyd fan. My favourite song is Shine On You Crazy Diamond. Now, I'm sure a lot of us can relate to Sid Barrett's story. Chasing. So, a lot of us have made mistakes, and it's important to reflect, but it's also important to learn both the positives and the negatives so that you can move forwards. Now, he got lost, and he actually got rejected by a cult, which actually would have done him some good. So it's a tragic story, but you guys need to shine on.